Hi everyone, Enamored here.
Hi, Panda here.
Are you ready to finish the chapter?
What does that mist do? Please tell me it melts eyeballs.
You really wanted to melt something, don't
I
you?
don't. It seems exciting. I mean, the mist already looks like blood. I'll give you some points for that, but it's not blood, but it does something else. But what is that thing? I want to know what that thing is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we can
Oh,
just continue where we left off.
and also, bugs have like compound eyes, so that's a lot of eyes that could be melted. Come on. Look, you said it yourself. I have a reputation to maintain.
Mm-hmm. Alright. I left, taking off and heading for the spot I'd left Legend. Looking over my shoulder, I could see Sundancer creating her orb and bringing it down on top of herself. As it had done back during our fight with Lung, it didn't burn the area directly around her. And Tattletale and Trickster were still standing in the midst of the miasma. They weren't reacting or doing anything, but they weren't signaling for me to come back either, and they weren't hopping on top of Bentley to rejoin the action. Something was up, I just had no idea what.
I mean, the miasma is what's up, but we don't know what. We have no idea what that is either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I had to.
I consoled myself with the bittersweet idea that Bonesaw.
Consoled myself?
I consoled
Is
myself.
that it?
Yeah, I consoled myself with this bittersweet idea that Bonesaw would want to draw this out. It
Debatable. I mean, okay, admission here. Did anyone else here play The Sims? Did any of the rest of you do that thing where, you built The Sims like a swimming pool and you just you just removed the bars, whatever it is,
the
and
ladders
the
from the
ladder,
swimming
yeah,
pool.
and then you just kind of watch and wait to see how long it took the Sims to like either drown or sometimes you take mercy on them. Well, mercy, quote unquote, and then you build them a little island in the middle of that pool because you want to see like, if like how they're gonna how long they're actually gonna last. You kind of want to watch them suffer, or you don't really
Mm,
want to watch them suffer. You just want to see like how long this lasts, and you want to see like, wow, how far is the simulation gonna take it? Is it really just gonna let them die? Yep, they died because they can't. They need the ladder. They literally cannot do anything without that ladder. Wow.
mm-hmm.
And then you feel like a monster for about like a short period of time until the next sim gets in the pool, and then you realize, oh god, oh fuck, I forgot to lock the door so that they couldn't get into the pool.
So, I mean, that is what drawing it out is, right?
Yeah, so I'm just saying, look, if I'm similar to Bonesaw and I saw no problem with, drawing it out, I don't see why Bonesaw.
Hmm. It wouldn't be as simple as murdering my teammates. It wasn't exactly reassuring, especially when I thought back to what had happened to Brian. But
Oh, right. Yeah.
it gave me hope that this wasn't the last time I'd see my teammates.
So you're okay with more of your teammates getting fridged and then they have to watch you walk away from them because you're gonna be quote unquote merciful and not kill them.
My friends.
Oh, is this the first time saying that?
No, but still, it's still significant.
Well, I like the way you paused it. My, is there an ellipses there?
There is italic.
Oh, okay. It's just like my friends.
I rose higher as I approached the epicenter of the miasma. It had continued to rise, and the place she'd used the catalyst was the place where the vapor had spread the most. I could see how it was threaded through the streets, like veins, surrounding buildings in a crimson embrace, spilling out into the ocean. The water of the bay, I noticed.
That's a pretty phrase, a crimson embrace spreading out into the ocean. It's very pretty until you realize it's like probably worse than death, whatever it is. Also, kind of reminds me of like, was it red tides? Have you heard about that? Dinoflagellates coming up onto the shore.
Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
mentioned this
Yeah.
last night,
No, I didn't.
right? Oh, what is
No.
this?
I never talked. I don't think I've ever talked about dinoflagellates
You're not
before.
talking about the red algae stuff?
No, that. Oh no. So there was like an incident. I think sometime when it was when people thought it was raining blood, but it wasn't raining blood. It was just like the water was contaminated with this kind of like red algae,
Mm.
and or algae as they like to say on PVC, and the algae got caught up in like the water droplets, and so like, the water. Why are you looking at me like that? Like, like so yeah, the water
had all of the algae in it. So the water was thick and heavy and red like blood. So it looked like it was raining blood, but it was just algae-laced, kind of polluted water.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the red tides are something different. So that's actually like dinoflagellates, which is like microscopic organisms just swarming en masse on the tide. And I think it's actually dangerous for a lot of sea critters. I don't remember why. It was either something to do with the pH or just the fact that the dinoflagellates themselves in large quantities are toxic.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you should look it up. It's actually kind of this really weird, like, nature phenomenon thing.
Mm.
It's a thing. It happens.
Interesting. The water of the bay, I noticed, hadn't changed. Was the salt killing whatever organisms she designed to spread this effect?
Oh, no. This is Bonesaw. Come on.
There were areas of high ground where the effect was diminished or gone.
Sorry. I have the high ground jokes. It's over. I have the high ground.
There were hills here and there where the area hadn't flooded and miasma wasn't reaching so far into those spots. Hopefully, that meant the civilians wouldn't be so affected. The high ground was where flooding wasn't an issue, would also be the place where people congregated for shelter.
Oh, and the miasma rises, so people are going to be there.
It seems to fade out the higher it goes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on, Bonesaw. I expected better of you. Well, I guess it makes sense. And whatever it is, it's denser than the air, so...
A series of bright flashes caught my attention. Between the distance and the cloud of red vapor, I could only barely make him out, but the staccato lasers let me identify him as Legend. He was fighting. I set my bugs down into the miasma, drawing them together into a swarm and placing them strategically, painting a mental picture of the area, the layout, and the positions of the combatants. Just to be safe, I drew closer to a rooftop. It wasn't safe to land, but I had hopes that building would offer me some cover against Jack. I held the bulk of my swarm at bay, waiting for the moment I could assist Legend in fighting the Nine.
The knight?
The Nine.
Okay.
He wasn't fighting the Nine. Legend was shooting at teammates. He shouted something, but neither my ears nor my bugs were able to pick up the words.
Do you remember what I said about mind control last chapter? Didn't I say it? I said it, right?
You did say that, yeah.
Woo! Give me some points!
Really wished I could use my bugs to hear. Had they gone berserk? Rage? No.
What is this, an RPG?
No, I could sense others hiding. In fact, it seemed to be the primary concern of the people in the miasma. Hiding, staying out of trouble, putting distance between themselves and the others. Even Legend was pulling his punches. His lasers were non-lethal, as far as I could see. Paranoia?
The other thing I said was maybe it forces you to, like, keep your powers turned on at all times. Like, you lose control.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah. Music make you lose control. Yeah.
Weld, who I identified by his lack of a costume and the metal growths on his shoulders, was standing with his back to a wall. His hands were blunt weapons, and he was swinging them through the air.
Oh my god, did I call it?
What did you call?
You know, the mind control thing? The lose control of your powers are on all the time? Didn't I have all of these? I did.
I'm gonna keep going, okay? To threaten anyone who approached. A small figure, who could only be Vista, was backing away from two adults. She got too close to Legend, and he fired a spray of laser blasts at her. None hurt her or penetrated her costume, but she staggered and fell.
Uh-oh. Mm-hmm.
I could sense the ground bulge, spearing up in a pillar. As the ground beneath them stretched in the pillar's vicinity, others staggered or got disoriented. At the pillar's top, a roughed-up Vista bent the growth she created to place herself close to the rooftop and hop down onto solid ground. She coughed. Okay.
Coughed blood.
That's not what I said.
I know. I'm just saying. Look, I'm just saying, like, Bonesaw seems to have gone for, like, all the most horrible things, and I'm just like, okay, yes, but then also the Mega Ebola.
So just do all of it.
Yes, all of the above. Remember, look, when I was in school, like, that was often the answer. D, all of the above. Why not? Porque no los dos? Porque no los tres? Porque no los cuatro? What is all in Spanish?
I don't know. Why not all of them?
Yeah, right. I'm trying to figure out what all is. My brain just is like, do you mean Japanese? Do you mean Zenbu? Do you mean Japanese? And I'm just like, no, other foreign language.
Weeb.
God, hey, it's the same in Chinese. That's
Yeah.
why. That's part of why it's so
That's
easy
true.
to remember. The kanji is the same.
Okay, at least she wasn't someone who could kill me if this went the wrong way.
Oh, can she kill you, Vista?
I called out, Vista! She whirled on the spot to look at me, then swiftly began backing away. I raised my hands to show her I meant no harm.
No, she could totally fuck you up. Can she she can control like time and space and stuff, right? Could
Just
she
space.
fold space? Right. Can she fold you inside out?
No. It's been established that she...
Oh yeah, what was it
she can't-
Manton
the Manton effect, yeah.
I can't believe
She-
I remember that
She
word.
can't do people.
But how cool would it be if she could?
I bet it would be very, very
mean-
cool.
She could literally fold somebody in half. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she'd make a good chiropractor. I need to see the chiropractor.
I raised my hands to show her I meant no harm. Hold on, I'm safe.
Mm.
That's just what they would say, she retorted.
Ha.
They? Who? The Nine?
I'm grinning.
In what universe would I be a member of the Nine?
Oh, honey, the fan fictions.
Shut up. Don't try to convince me. Just back off. Leave me alone until all this stops. She was breathing so hard I could see her shoulders rising and falling through the protective suit she wore. A thought struck me. It was working through the suit? The mask had to have filters for smoke. Why hadn't it worked against this miasma?
Oh, I guess well, that depends. Are these masks anywhere near as effective as an N95?
Good question.
I mean, while we're talking COVID here.
I just want to help. Leave.
She always says that.
She used her power, extending the pillar she had used to ascend to the rooftop. It missed me by a wide margin, but the threat was clear enough. I regretted it the instant I did it, but I moved forward to avoid any further movements from the shaft of asphalt. If I was going to fall, I wanted to land on the roof instead of the alleyway a dozen stories below. No! The word as much a scream as anything else. She extended the shaft well over my head and then pinched it off so the top part fell. I'd seen her fight Leviathan, and she'd done the same thing then, if on a somewhat bigger scale. I had Atlas carry me out of the way and watched the teardrop-shaped piece of asphalt crash to the floor of the alley. That, apparently, was enough to get Legend's attention. He rose from the street level and surveyed the scene. He'd taken off the hazmat-style mask and filter, and what little I could see of his expression was drawn. His eyes were narrowed, a vein stood out on his forehead, and he furtively looked from Vista to me and back again. Legend, I started. How was I supposed to address him when he was like this? When I didn't even know...
Sir?
What?
Mr. Hero, sir?
When I didn't even know what was going on with them. Not that it mattered. He raised one hand in my direction, and I veered away, taking evasive maneuvers. It missed me by a foot, circled around, and struck me off of Atlas before I could cancel out his momentum and change direction. Legend had clearly set his lasers to stun, but it still hurt. Hitting the rooftop hurt more. I could feel a piece of armor crack beneath my weight, hear my thing spilling to the ground. I coughed out half a lungful of air, and involuntarily sucked in another breath to cough again. It was humid, tasting slightly off, almost stagnant.
Oh, did she inhale some of the miasma?
When I opened my eyes, I was seeing red, and not in the metaphorical sense. I was in the midst of the miasma. Still coughing, I struggled to my feet. The back compartment of my armor had cracked as my weight had come down on the lip of the roof. My weapons, the EpiPens, the cell phone, and the change purse lay on the ground. "Stay down!" the junior heroine screamed. If I hadn't still been reeling from my fall, I might have been able to avoid it. As it was, the section of rooftop behind me bulged up into a wall and then folded down over on top of me. It bent to accommodate my shape rather than crush me, leaving only my head and shoulders sticking out. "If you try that trick on me, little girl, I'll shoot you," I heard the threat from the air above us. This was going south, fast. "I'm going to turn my back and run," she responded. "If you try shooting me in the back, I'll show you what I can really do." There was anger in the threat that caught me off guard. Was it this miasma that had pushed her to that level of anger? I wasn't feeling anything like that.
Maybe is that her secret, that she's angry all the time, like the Hulk?
You remember a Vista interlude, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought Taylor said that.
She did say that.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I wasn't feeling anything like that. Had something about the way he had talked provoked her, or was that the norm for her? I tried to think back to my prior experiences with her, and found nothing. What was her name? Was I suffering from brain damage? Another concussion? I did a series of multiplication, addition, and subtraction in my head, and found no problems on that front.
Oh my god, this is what I do when I'm drunk.
Not general brain damage, apparently. Amnesia? My name is Skitter, I thought. Taylor Ann Hebert, 16, born in Brockton Bay, student at Winslow High. Ex-student.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, not that one.
Member of the Undersiders. No problems on that front. My line of thought continued absently, as if I wanted to reassure myself that I was mentally intact. My parents are Dan Hebert and Annette Rose Hebert. I struggled, wiggling to try and free myself from the hump of solid concrete. I could inch myself out. What would my mom think to see me now? I tried to picture her expression. Again, that gap, the chasm. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I could have been hit by 5 more of those laser blasts on stun, and it wouldn't have hit me as hard as the realization that I couldn't remember my mother. Couldn't remember her face, the details, her mannerisms, even the happy memories we'd shared, the little moments I'd clung to over the past 2 years. They were gone. There was only an empty void where they should have been. I couldn't remember my dad, either. The other Undersiders, their faces, their costumes, their personalities and mannerisms, all gone. I could remember what we'd done. The bank robbery, fighting Purity's group, lazing around in the old loft, even the general progression of events from the moment I'd met them. But the people were blanks, waiting to be filled in, and I couldn't go from thinking about one name to thinking about the events that were related to it. I felt a rising panic as I struggled to work myself free. I didn't know the people who were on the rooftop with me. The man who floated in the air, wearing a sturdy hazmat-style fire suit and a blue and silver mask that left only his mouth, chin, and wavy brown hair exposed. I couldn't recognize the girl he was shooting in the back.
Oh shit, it's an amnesia gas?
I saw her fall face first and writhe with pain. He shot her 2 more times, and she went limp. Out cold. I couldn't make the mental connection between the 9 and their appearances or their powers. If I didn't have the benefit of being able to remember my actions over the past few minutes, it would have been impossible to say whether the 2 people here were allies or enemies. Everything suddenly made sense. The infighting, the tactics they were using, the mixture of hostility and paranoia. Legend was attacking with non-lethal blasts because he couldn't be sure if he was attacking a teammate or one of the 9. So he was striving to take everyone out of action with as little permanent damage as possible. Sundancer's worries about being alone struck me. We were all alone now. Every single one of us. From teams to individuals, everyone was fending for themselves because they couldn't afford to trust the others.
Wow, that's pretty creative. Gotta hand it to her.
That's more devious than anything I came up with. Well, that was pretty close.
Well, I liked your guesses, if that's worth anything.
I got so excited, man.
And it would ruin us. It would be impossible to mount any kind of defense against the 9 if we were fighting them as individuals. The man with the blue and silver mask floated over to where I was, ready to dispatch me, to knock me out just in case I was a threat. Help? I called out. It was a spur-of-the-moment response. My mind raced as I tried to form a plan. Even a bad one would serve. I lied. I'm stuck. Break me out? I stared up at him. His face was riddled with conflicting emotions, his body language tense. There was a nervousness there that belied simple amnesia. We'd been warned about drinking the city's water. It might mean the effects were more pronounced for the people who hadn't been informed. Or there might be side effects.
So, do you think this has to do with the city water supply?
Earlier in the chapter, Tattletale mentioned
Yeah.
that it's spreading really quickly because Bonesaw might have prepared something in the water.
There's something in the water. Sorry. That was a Haley Kiyoko song. That's how it goes. Please forgive me, I've got demons in my head. Yeah.
Stay, he ordered. He stayed at the level of the rooftop as he floated out above the street, aiming more blasts at the others. This wasn't rational for him. It didn't jibe with my knowledge of him. That could mean there was something about the miasma that was making him irrational. I waited for long minutes as he continued firing down on the others. He cast me one sidelong glance, then flew off in pursuit of someone I couldn't see. Even after I was able to start wiggling myself free, it was slow. I measured my progress in half inches. My chest, small as it was, proved an issue. Coupled with the armor at my front and the remains of the armor at my back, it made getting free an issue. Several times, I stopped breathing for a good minute before I forced myself back under the concrete sheet to be able to breathe again. Then I did it again. As much through the wear and tear on my armor as anything else, I managed to slide my upper body out on the 5th attempt. I took a second to breathe and rest, and then began the slow process of getting my midsection and hips past the mouth of the concrete shelf.
What's she trying to do?
She's trying to escape from the thing Vista did to her,
Oh.
which was to like fold a piece of concrete over her to trap her.
Right.
Yeah. I directed every curse word I knew at the belt and armor panels I'd placed around my hips as I tried to work myself free. My hips and rear end were proving as difficult as my chest had been, and with my upper body being further away, I couldn't get the same leverage to push myself out with my arms. Minutes passed as I grunted and struggled. I could hear inarticulate screams, shouted threats, screamed warnings, and the noise of destruction on the street below as paranoia gave way to violence. I brought Atlas to my side, but even with his
Oh, you
strength,
remember Atlas?
even with his strength in his horn, he wasn't strong enough to affect the concrete. That is interesting, huh?
Yeah.
I used his help to squeeze myself out, bracing his horn against the lip of the concrete sheet and pulling. When I was free, I gathered my knife, baton, and gun from where they had fallen and fit them into the few remaining elastic loops in my ruined utility compartment. Cell phone was a yes, but I didn't have a spot for it, so I tucked it in the
Is it
chest.
Signal even?
They're satellite phones, I believe.
Oh, okay. Because I was just like,
Can you really? What was that old commercial? That T-Mobile. Can you imagine the T-Mobile guy walking around on the beach while all of this is happening in the background, being like, "Can you hear me now?"
Hmm.
Good.
So I tucked it in the chest compartment of my armor. Similarly, I stuck the EpiPens and change purse through the space between my hip and the belt, wedging them in next to the straps. I double-checked that Atlas hadn't been hurt by Legend's lasers, and then climbed on top of
She
him.
remembered it now.
Oh. Interesting.
wait, so she's starting to remember bit by bit? Why is she able to remember things?
That, I think she shouldn't have remembered his name here. I think that's a mistake.
Oh.
But, that's a good catch. I didn't know she
No,
remembered.
because I was just kind of like, wait, she
She said Legend, yeah.
She couldn't remember anybody's name, so now she remembers the Atlas. And like, okay, she remembers Atlas. And like, oh, it doesn't work on bugs. Okay, oh, she remembered Legend. Oh, wait.
There was destruction below, and signs of the mad fighting between capes. Sheets of paper frozen in time, a mailbox destroyed, a light post toppled, all still in the midst of the red water. Everyone had fled or been knocked out of commission. The fighting had migrated to several scattered spots nearby. I didn't know exactly what to do, so I focused on helping the wounded, making sure they were okay. I turned an unconscious girl
Okay, Tay, never change.
over into the recovery position and started to drag a wounded man out of the middle of the road. I stopped when he started struggling and fighting with me and just left him there.
Oh my god, Taylor, you're still a good person. You're actually a really good person, Tay.
Mm-hmm. Zendrex says, that is strange. Yeah. I didn't expect any proper nouns to appear in this section. I felt lost. Was I helping the enemy when I was propping someone up to make sure that they didn't choke on their own vomit or drown in a puddle? If
You're being a humanitarian. You're being a good person, Tay.
If I used the plastic cuffs I had in the change purse, would I be tying someone up, leaving them helpless against one of the 9? I checked my cell phone. No service. I was alone here. Everyone in the world was a stranger.
But that's why you need to stick together. Man, search for meaning.
Vibrations rocked the street. I saw the wounded man stirred in response. A monster. Bigger than a car, fangs, teeth, claws, and a thorny exterior.
It's one of the dogs.
It didn't act like it had seen me. One of Bitch's dogs? Or is it
Wait,
Crawler?
she remembers? She remembers the names?
I guess she remembers the
Crawler.
names. Okay.
She remembers Crawler. She remembers Bitch.
I think, actually, she was able to remember her dad's name and her mom's name.
She was.
She just couldn't connect it with face mannerisms or personality.
Okay.
So I guess she does remember names. Yeah. One of Bitch's dogs? Or is it Crawler? If it was Crawler and it acted like he was friendly, he'd tear me to shreds. I could draw my gun to
I
threaten
thought Crawler
him.
was dead. Or at least we thought he was dead.
Yeah, we thought so. I could draw my gun to threaten him, defend myself, except that wouldn't do a thing to slow Crawler down. If it was one of Bitch's dogs, Sans Rider, then there was little point in staying. I didn't even know if it was suffering from the miasma's effect. If it was Crawler... I drew my bugs around me as a shroud, simultaneously forming decoy swarms. I ran, my footsteps splashing, and called Atlas to me. The second I was out of sight, I climbed on top of him and took to the air once again. Couldn't settle down, couldn't stop. I had to treat everyone I met as an enemy.
It's that Imagine Dragons song from Arcane. Everybody wants to be my enemy.
Because that's how he does it, right? He doesn't actually sing it. He just does this like weird like, "Eh. Oh, the misery.
Oh, the misery.
Something, something.
Everybody wants to be my enemy."
I was beginning to see where the paranoia came in. Skitter, a voice called out. I stopped. A blonde girl, waving at me.
Tattletale?
I drew my gun and leveled it at her.
Oh my god!
The smile dropped from her face. She brought both hands to her mouth and she shouted, "It's me, Tattletale." I hesitated. How tragic would it be if I shot my friend so soon after I'd wanted to scream at the heroes for fighting among one another?
It'd be ironic and, well,
Sad and also a little bit.
How did you get here? On the dog. I don't remember its name, but it wasn't as affected as we were. This effect is tailored for people. I looked in the direction of the creature I'd seen. Had that been the dog they'd come on? I drew closer, but I kept the gun aimed at her. I glanced around. Where are the others? Most are hiding, she said. My powers kind of let me work around this gas, I think. I brought Groove, too.
oh, that's nice.
I looked around. What she was saying felt right, even if I couldn't remember her powers specifically. What is this? Amnesia? Agnosia. We haven't forgotten. Just can't use the knowledge we have. Looking at the others, I think they're hallucinating. If it's prions, like Bonesaw used with the power nullification darts, it fits. Hallucinations would match with heavy prion exposure.
Oh, is that so?
I just remember prions causing mad cow disease. And also that, like, once you get prions, you're fucked.
Yeah, those things are crazy.
Yeah.
Prions? They're small enough to pass through water filtration and gas masks. Badly folded proteins that force other proteins into identical shapes, perpetuating the problem. If she found a way to guide them, or specifically target the parts of the brain she wanted, she might get results like we're experiencing.
Actually, all of this is correct. That is what prions are, and
Yeah.
that is precisely what makes them so terrifying, which is why, oh hey, mad cow disease,
You gotta
Yeah,
you gotta put down the cat.
prions are so freaky.
Yeah. Oh, do you know about was it cannibalism in prions?
I think so, yeah, because yeah.
Part of the reason why cannibalism is taboo in some parts of the cannibalism is taboo.
But one of the, I guess, purported reasons for why it's so taboo has to do with prions, which is like, the improper proteins, right? So if somebody dies and they had prions in their brain and then you eat parts of the brain, which I think was like it's a ritual thing, right? Ritual consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the prions, and then you go crazy too, and then you die.
Yeah. Don't do cannibalism, y'all.
Well, don't eat. Well, if there's been a mad cow disease scare, don't eat beef.
Mm-hmm.
Probably better for the environment just to avoid beef in general, honestly.
Yeah. In a really bad case, it caused lesions in the brain and give you hallucinations. I looked around. How long does it last? Forever. It's incurable and it's terminal.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's true. You get prions, you're fucked. With a capital F, you are fucked.
Mm-hmm. I swallowed. But Panacea could fix it.
Could she?
She nodded, then smiled wide. There's hope, right? Right. She jerked her head to one side, then used one hand to brush the hair back out of her face. Let's grab Gru and formulate a plan.
See, in the fan fiction where she brushes the hair back away from her face,
This is the part where I would just be like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful.
Mhm.
I would insert that.
She turned to leave, but I stayed where I was. After 3 steps, she turned around. What's wrong? I didn't lower the gun. Sorry, a little paranoid. She frowned. That's fair, but we're short on time. If others are getting lesions on the brain, then that means they could die soon. Seizures, violent mood swings, loss of motor control. Kreutzfeldt Jacob was a prion disease, but the progression here is faster.
yeah, Kreutzfeldt. I think that's actually the name for mad cow disease when you get it in humans.
Yeah. I shook my head. Cruz what? Neurological disorder caused by eating the meat of a cow infected with mad cow disease. You get the prions in your head, and you slowly die while suffering personality changes, memory loss, and vivid hallucinations.
You guys can't see it, but I'm like,
What is this? What is this?
You're cheering?
I just have my arms up.
Yeah. And it's faster here. She nodded. Her expression was solemn. Hours instead of weeks. And as people experience mood shifts with anger and fear, or if the hallucinations get worse, the fighting among teammates will too, I finished. It could get ugly. If we're going to save everyone, we need Amy. For that, we need to ask Cherish. I shook my head.
Wait, what do they need to ask Cherish for?
Who?
Wait, what do they need? Why do they need Cherish?
That's a good question.
Are they gonna get Cherish to manipulate Amy to fixing this? That's insane.
That would be interesting. I shook my head. Who? You remember capturing a member of the Nine? Did I? We'd ambushed them, walked away with captives, yes. But we lost someone, too. Yeah, I replied. And we confined one? I nodded. This was working. I could piece together the information. We'd called that person on the phone, hadn't we? Cell phones aren't working consistently. Is it safe? A male voice asked. Sure. I stayed silent. He stepped out from around the corner to stand by the blonde girl. This is Skitter? She nodded. Skitter, this is Gru. I didn't recognize him any more than he recognized me. I kept the gun trained on them.
You may not know me, but we were lovers once. Dun dun dun.
End of episode.
Soap opera. And
Soap opera.
and then you have the flashbacks of the if this was K-drama, you have the flashbacks or the
Mhm.
commercials and the lighting and or if it's from other countries, you have those crazy transitions.
This is slowing us down. What's it going to take to get you to trust me? He asked.
Stab yourself. I'm joking.
What would it take?
Kiss me.
The fight with Empire 88's mooks. When I made the human-shaped tower of bugs for the first time, and they shot into it while I crouched inside. She shook her head. I don't remember that. How many people had I been with then? I would have said one, but I felt like someone else was involved. Had they arrived late? I could remember hurrying off. She spread her arms wide. I'm sorry, I might not look like it, but it's affecting me too. I'm just using my power to uncover the answers we need. I nodded. That would have been reassuring if I could remember what her powers were, or if I could think of something about her I could quiz her on. It was like two blind people playing hide and seek.
Is Marco Polo? Kinda.
No, because
that's right. Only
one person can't see in Marco Polo.
Okay, so it's like double. So it's a double blind experiment. It's double blind Marco Polo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think I'm just having fun.
Yes. Look, come here, she offered. I hesitated. You can keep the gun. I'll keep my hands above my head. Gru, stand back. He stepped away and leaned against the wall, his arms folded. I landed Atlas and stepped forward. She got on her knees, and with her hands above her head, she walked through the flooded streets on her knees until her forehead was pressed against the barrel of the gun. I trust you. I know I'm a pain in the ass sometimes. I know we've had our ups and downs. I know I've kept way too many secrets for someone who calls herself Tattletale. She smiled. But I trust you. Now, even if you don't recognize me consciously, what's your heart telling you?
Honey, I can't not ship this. My shipper heart can't take this. Oh my god. This is a fan fiction. Now kiss. Oh my god. I kind of wish I would. Oh, it's too perfect.
In truth, it wasn't telling me much. If I didn't think on it, if I just went with the vague impression I associated with the name Tattletale, the smile, the fountain of information, I backed away a step. I don't think that's a good enough reason to trust you. Darn it. Let me think. Do you want to go ahead without her? The guy asked. I turned to look at him. The idea of being left alone here. Go somewhere safe, he suggested. I frowned. If the Slaughterhouse 9 find Panacea first, or if things get much worse, I want to hope, really, I said. But it's just that... I trailed off. You want to hope, but you're suspicious. And you feel bad for being suspicious because of everything we've been through. Our close calls? He asked. Yeah, I said. I was double-checking everything he said against my own awareness. Was he saying anything that indicated he knew something I couldn't? I know how scared and suspicious you feel, because I feel the same way. Except I trust Tattletale. I do too, I said, and I trust her if I could be sure she was Tattletale. Trust your heart.
Oh my god! This is so sappy.
I wanted so
I don't hate it though. I'm eating this up. I am eating this up. Oh my god. We just had a genre change, y'all. Oh
with the
my
power
god.
of friendship. Yay!
Friendship is magic, y'all.
Magic!
I wanted so desperately for it to be like in the movies, where people could trust your heart, where you were holding the gun and you had to choose between shooting the evil clone and shooting your friend, and you just knew.
You have to give them a sign. That's how these things work.
He gestured around us with one hand. This doesn't work. This is going to lose us the fight, and all the danger we've been through in our fight against the 9 will be for nothing if they win here. I shook my head. I don't disagree, but that line of thinking isn't going to make me drop the gun. Then, can I try acting from my heart? He asked.
Is he gonna kiss her?
Before I could respond, he started approaching me. I backed away a step, kept the gun leveled, and I couldn't bring myself to shoot as he advanced. He stepped in close, ignoring the gun, and wrapped his arms around me. My forehead pressed against his shoulder. It wasn't the most comfortable hug I'd had. Not that I'd had many.
She remembers that. That sucks.
It felt awkward, stiff, clumsy. But somehow that made it feel more right, like a real hug would have felt off somehow. He was warm. Gru? Then, without waiting for me to give an answer, Gru stepped back, taking hold of my left hand and pulling. I followed without complaint. I couldn't complain. If I doubted him now, after this, I'd be 10 times as angry at myself as he was with me. Priority number 1, we get in contact with Cherish, Tattletale said, grinning. From there, we can decide whether we want to track down Panacea or go after the Slaughterhouse 9. Right, I said.
I mean, if you guys don't go after Panacea, the heroes are just gonna get pre-oned to death.
Yeah, they kind of need her, right?
Although, I mean, you guys are the villains, so, you know, what's it to you if Legend and Vista get Prion to death? I mean, you know, they seem like good people. I liked Vista. She was cute.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Keep checking your cell phone. The second we have service, call Coil. Coil is our boss. And since he's hidden away, he won't be affected, so he'll be able to place the name and fill us in on the details the Agnosia has blocked from us. Okay. It's not the end of the world after all, Tattletale smiled. I nodded. I was acutely aware of the gun in my right hand. I felt like I should put it away, but with the way we were moving and my general sense of unease, I couldn't stop and do it. Hated this. It reminded me of school. The reminder made me angry, and it somehow made all of this seem worse. I muttered. Sooner we're fucking cured of this miasma, the better. Hey! Tattletale paused, pointing at me with a stern expression on her face. Don't swear! End of
What?
chapter.
Wow, that's a weird one. Okay,
And-
so I was close.
Yeah? Alright. I'm glad. Are you happy? You finally found out what the miasma does?
Yeah, and actually I like it. It's very creative. Bravo, you get points for creativity.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen? We have like 2 or 3 more chapters left in this arc.
Oh. I mean, but that's not the end of the Slaughterhouse 9 business, right?
I think 3 chapters left,
So, I mean, like,
and it'll be the end of the Slaughterhouse 9 arc, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's going to wrap up soon, right?
not at all. Wow.
Well, just letting you know.
Wow. Okay then. You know what it would be kind of interesting if the way that this ends is Bonesaw, Jack Slash, and Siberian finish each other off
Oh,
because of miasma. That'd be interesting.
that would be interesting, yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's not what's going to happen because that's kind of weird, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of a weird way to end it, but you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is the end of the chapter. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you know where to leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zendrick says this is a great chapter. It's a really good chapter.
Yeah. Thank you for reading it to me, and thank you for being here. And also,
Good to see you again, Jess. It's
Yeah.
from one Jess to another. It's good to see you.
Mm-hmm. I hope you have a good evening and good night.
good